a Zoom recording, so we can at least have
Alrighty.
something interesting. It's
Actually,
officially 11.
that would be a good question for Leroy. What sort of programming languages would a guy need to know to be successful in this world? You know,
Well, I think it depends
in
on
our
which
space.
world you're living in. Like
No,
I
our
know
space, our space.
our space, yeah, I know because I know a couple people use Go, and that's really become popular. And there's other ones that use just, obviously Python and everything else. Let's
I don't know,
see.
man. I used to love to program to craft the idea and build it out, and then debugging, I hated. So that's why I couldn't hang in that space.
That's
Just
what's
couldn't do it.
so good about the low code, no code thing. You don't have
Yeah.
to actually like know how to program. You can just like put the blocks together or
Yeah.
literally.
Well, I do like my Legos.
See, there you
Yeah.
go. Then you probably would
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Good morning or afternoon to everybody who's popping in. I see some familiar faces. Always good to see y'all, and one or two that I don't think I recognize. So, any case, um, anybody have anything top of mind? Oh, we're gonna let Maya in, I suppose.
No, don't know,
Any
man.
Does anybody have anything top of mind? Is there anything on anyone's bouncing around your brain pan that we can address for you? Anything
I
important in your world? Speak up.
I do. Hold on, let me make sure.
Great.
Okay, yeah, it's on the right thing. Let me get over to SaaS alerts.
Absolutely, Daniel.
How are you doing today, Anthony?
It's a good day in San Francisco. Remind me, where are you, Daniel?
I am near Midland, Texas.
Very good.
It is
Very
a
good.
cold day in Midland.
I was just going to ask if winter was officially over yet, but clearly not.
I wish.
When I
Supposed
went
to be like
100% remote,
70 degrees here today in Virginia.
yeah,
And I'm like, booyah.
no, we had high 60s, low 70s all weekend, which is a little warmer than normal, but it was stunning. I had family in town um, from Wyoming, and they still have 3 feet of snow, and all they wanted to do was just lay out in the sun. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, man, I get it.
It'll be worse.
Agreed, Rich. Expressions of all sorts. Um, so Daniel, what's on your mind, man? What's going on?
I'm pulling it up. Conditions.
Freaking hate Teams. You can't search for this thing that will save your life.
I do not like teams.
I can go ahead and share, right?
Please.
Oh yeah, next about.
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to see your credit card bill or anything, but
uh, you just see my wife's online shopping.
Holy Toledo. That's a lot of triggers.
Yeah, so Anthony and I have been working on this. We're looking for a good way, and if we have to just go ahead and create another rule, that's fine, and just drop this into draft, that's also fine. We're just looking for a way for it to find somebody outside the, United States, if it's token theft, and disable their account accordingly or report it.
so when we were looking at this, Ben, I thought
Mhm.
this had some good ideas in it. It just seemed a little overcomplicated. Since you do this every day, all day, 24/7, I was hoping you would glance at this and tell me where I'd given Daniel terrible advice and he'd gone horribly wrong.
So that's fine. Not all of those will get unified data, just FYI. Something to keep in mind. Depends on if Microsoft decides to grace us with that, but that's not a big deal. Keep scrolling down. All right, not a mobile device and as outside approved location, and the account has mapped devices. I would get rid of that. So, well, I don't know. The account has mapped devices, either a single or a shared. I guess that's fine if every single organization has at least one.
You're migrating them
Let's see.
over as we speak to a map device.
The account has a mapped device. Okay. So if the account does not have a mapped device, then this will not trigger. Gotcha. All right. That's good to know. And all right. So it has to outside approved location. It is not a file event and it does not contain Microsoft. Hmm. Um, Don't know about that one, but yeah, let's see, keep on going. Okay, cool. So the is it the lack of triggering or the overabundance of triggering that you're seeing?
A lack of triggering. We got the overabundance of triggering, and then we put this in, and now getting no triggers. And instead, another one of our rules, we're using that for triggering.
If you scroll up a little bit, let's see. Okay, so and
Where do you want me to scroll to? Just keep.
no, I want to make sure that was an and not an or. I was just trying to think here. Um, so I can tell you how we simplify it and everything without going too crazy is we look for pretty much outside approved location, just that single one from a device that is not or that is unknown or unmapped. And that would trigger and let us know, hey, someone signed in from a strange device, which seems to be one of your goals here because it looks like this is all 100% about outside approved location. And this, let me move my microphone out of the way and grab a pencil. Let's see. Ooh, okay. So this right here will not trigger if it's a file event. It's just this was put in because we were getting file events with the outside approved location tagged onto them, not just this one with a file event tagged onto it. Does that make sense? Um,
Yeah.
so do this. Let's create a new rule and try it out because I don't want to be like, screw everything you've done and then have you redo it later on. So yeah, let's go ahead and go to rules and let's go to new rule. And I'll show you what we do at MSA that's been pretty effective. All right, let's just give this a name, whatever you want to do. You can just be like Ben's crazy ideas. I don't
That's a big list.
know. And this may not necessarily, so you gotta figure a couple of things. Most token theft ones that are actually good are not going to be outside of your approved location. They're going to be with inside and they're going to be using a lot of VPNs. But there's a couple of them that we can help you easily detect against. And there's also ones that are a little bit more difficult, but I can kind of show you some stuff that's worked for us and some stuff that's been a little loud for some people and not so much for others. So let's do this. I'll go to events and we'll just do all applications. I don't care. And go to organizations and we'll do this one and this one. Yep, yep, yep. And we'll do conditions and we're not going to put any sort of action on this right away. And so let's just do outside approved location there. Yes, perfect. And I'm going to change this to a 1. 21. All right, and then hit filters. I'm going to show you what we've done. So drop that down and just type in unify. It'll filter out all that other stuff. Perfect. And let's do device status. And drop that down and select unknown or unmapped. Right there.
Unmanaged unknown.
It should
Okay.
be it should be alphabetized. It's not. So this is a simple one, but pretty effective because it's saying that if I see any of these authentication events from outside approved locations from an unknown device that's not in my RMM, then trigger. Uh, Obviously, you may want to add the mobile in there as well because you may get some people signing in from their phones. It happens. And you don't want necessarily this triggering, or maybe you do, because it is looking for that one outside approved location. It's just trying to uh, dial it down a little bit and sprinkle this filter in so that if somebody's maybe like on vacation and they have their computer, then it's not going to necessarily be triggering off of this. Um,
Okay.
it's simple, but believe it or not, very effective, especially if you're having a lot of outside. One way we can test this, and this is good for pretty much everybody, is do this. Scroll down and let's just hit alert only, and so we can save this, and then scroll all the way to the top.
Quick question on this. If I know users like who are always outside the United States, is there a way to add them to this to where it won't alert?
Yep. You would add them as exceptions. So you go under organization and you would basically add them under the account right here. That way it would never trigger for them. There is going to be something that I'll talk about here in a second, an improvement that we'll be rolling out probably within the next week or so that should also make this rule much more effective and less prone to false positives. So something to keep that in mind.
Okay. I know one of our workers, is outside the United States. So,
Yeah, certainly.
Perfect. All right,
All right.
scroll up to the very top on the right and save that.
okay. And alert only. Okay. Just making sure.
Always alert only, especially when you're first evaluating. So I don't expect you to hit to actually do a search. I'm just going to show you how to, because it would show a lot of information you may not want for everybody to see that's on YouTube and on this call. So if you go to analysis, if you want to test this out, you'd select a date range, and I'll take you all the way up to the part where you'll hit the run report, but you won't hit run report.
Uh,
And you can just do like the last week. That's what I always find a week or so or a month is a good range. And then we'll do where it says, where is it at? Right here, event types. We'll drop that down. We'll just type in outside. Perfect. And then you will do device status real here, filter of devices, and you'll select unmanaged and unknown. And then when you're off this call or whatever, you can hit run report and you'll see all of the times
Don't
that
do
that
that
will,
now. You just exposed
or
that
you
to the
can do
whole
that now.
internet.
It don't really matter. I can always edit it. But yeah, so
yeah.
these are the times that it would have triggered, which it's 72 times, which is a decent amount. But if you're seeing the same people, or if the people that you have excluded are, any of these guys, then it wouldn't have triggered. But this will also help you identify, hey, where are my people that are signing in from outside, from unknown devices, and do I need to adjust their account specific whitelist? Because I love rules that you can fix. I don't want like ones that you can't. And this one you can fix by solving one of the things it's asking, which is the outside approved location sign in or the known device. So either they have to sign in from a known device or they have to have a signing in from an approved location, which you can fix. So if you have people working in the Philippines, if you change this person's like sign in to be from the Philippines, then that would no longer trigger because it's no longer outside approved location. If that makes sense. So it's a little bit of
Where would
legwork
I
initially.
hit their approved location
Yeah,
at?
good
Would that
question.
be
Yep, you go under organizations and then you would go under yep. Then you would click on the people icon for that company, whichever one it was.
let's just do our company.
Perfect. And so, yeah, so you would edit the whitelist here. Something to keep in mind, the way it is now is not going to be the way it is in probably a couple of months. But for now, it will not inherit the whitelist you have defined on the company level. So if you do say this person can sign in from the Philippines, but they also maybe sign in from the US or they access data that's in the US, you'll want to make sure that both of those are in these little edit fields.
Logic here being if you guys had a server farm in Spain and it was maintained by your folks in the Philippines, if you don't add the United States to that whitelist edit at this level, then those folks in the Philippines cannot sign into the US without setting off all kinds of alarms. So
Mhm.
it just allows us like that to be very
Okay.
specific. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And so that will help you tune your whitelisting. Just keep in mind that it's going to change soon, but it'll be changing for the better. It'll be a lot easier to work with. So just good.
Enrique, did you have a question, my
Gotcha.
friend?
Good morning, all. You opened
Morning.
Pandora's box, Anthony. You should have known. So, specifically on what you mentioned regarding adding, so we could put US, Mexico at the organization level. And then if I go in or one MSP, we have US at the top level. Then for our help desk, we have India, but they connect via Azure Virtual Desktop in San Antonio, Texas, US South Central. So we have to also go and add US to those users today. Is there anything in the roadmap? I did not pay too much attention last Thursday or hear about it. Is there anything in the roadmap that can allow us to, because like right now that we're deploying SD-WAN solutions and stuff, I'm having to go check the IP addresses of all the users, make sure they weren't whitelisted to specific things. Will there be anything at an org level or at an MSP level?
Ben, I
Yes.
think somebody teed you up.
So yes, they Adam is working on an org level and also an MSP level that can be kind of like a global setting. For now,
Okay.
let me show you and Daniel, are you good with that for now or
Yeah, I'm gonna just stick around and ask
Sorry,
questions.
finish with that. I don't want to mess what you guys were doing.
no, it's good because I can show Daniel too what's going to be changing. There is Daniel, if you
Yes.
ping me on Discord, I'll also send you a couple of token theft rules that we've used that have been very effective.
I'm
So
still somewhat, I know I'm old, but I haven't used Discord in a while. So
no better time. No, we have a lot of partners on it, and it was a lot of people said, "Hey, this is just for games," but a lot of the big security companies they're on those too, like Black Hills and a whole bunch of other ones. Let me put the invite into the chat. If you get a chance, hop on there, and you'll be able to find me pretty quickly.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna share my screen.
Well, I'm on a holding pattern here. Was there an outage yesterday or something that I lost all my orgs?
I
I'm aware
didn't.
of. I would have heard
No, I
about
didn't see
that.
anything.
Okay. The thing is, I woke up with them.
That's weird. That's very weird.
Yeah.
No,
No, I didn't hear anything about that, and I was on calls for all bloody day yesterday, Enrique. So you're your own special snowflake.
I am, I know that, but I opened up a ticket last night anyway.
Good,
I needed to
good.
whitelist some new IPs. We're changing some gateways to Mexico instead of the US, and I'm like, whoops, no orgs. Then I logged into my Kaseya instance to make sure they weren't over there, but they were not over there. They were not over here, but this morning they're there. So that's the important thing.
Yeah. No,
But the
that's
funny thing, Ben, is my help desk opened up a managed SaaS alerts ticket to
Mhm.
whitelist the IP address, and then you guys were able to do it.
Sounds like it was something being blocked on either network or something
Or
over there.
Enrique,
Could be
Snowflake, or
Cloudflare.
Zendesk.
Cloudflare messes with us constantly.
that's what I was thinking. But if you tried it on two different platforms, well, it was in the same browser. I don't know. I have to
The
think through
same
that,
IP
but
address. Maybe it just hated your IP address that day.
Kaseya worked
exactly.
fine. My tenancy in Kaseya worked fine for those tenants.
Huh.
It was just standalone ones that were gone. It showed org 0 and then just like little brackets and stuff. Really
That's for
weird.
sure.
Good thing it's fixed.
For real.
Excellent.
So this is what's coming very soon is the approved ASN and location names for anybody that has been plagued with the Microsoft data center issues that we have been annoyed with for the past, what, is it a year or so? You can come in here, and this is again, this is the org level that will push it down to everybody else. But you can select, there's a bunch of common data centers that we have run across that we're going to easily allow you just to click on and add. And this will add that to the whitelist so that if you're ever getting the file event outside approved location, you can easily come in here and be like, boom, Microsoft Corporation, US, Illinois, Chicago. So you're not whitelisting necessarily every Microsoft IP address in the world, but you are allowing this ASN from this specific location to come through. The other ones that we'll be doing, you'll have the same ones. If you're only experiencing this on just maybe like one user, you can still come in here and edit it and do the same essential thing here, but on a user level. What Adam is working on is the ability for you. This is kind of a temporary measure for now. What we are working on currently is it's called either it's going to be power filters or advanced suppression, and we're leaning on kind of merging those two because what it'll allow you to do is to instead of whitelisting, you define approved actions. So maybe one event is normal for this particular user from this part of the world, from this ASN during this time frame, but. And you also don't want respond to come along and be like, hey, never mind, do it anyway. So we're going to be able to exclude, it from respond, maybe exclude it just from your ticketing system. So those people that are um, MSA clients that will sometimes get double notifications. Hopefully, we'll be able to do something about that. That'd be nice. But advanced suppression will be huge. And the plan is to allow that to be something that you can set on a MSP level and let it trickle down to everybody else if you so choose. But that is being developed now. There's a lot
Absolutely.
of moving parts on that one.
Yeah, there is. There is. Because this is actually, and Ben, take a look at applications real quick for me, just so you guys know what the changes that we're making to this piece of the world are really deep into the core of what our application does, which is alerting when things go whack. So just kind of keep that in mind that this is might seem like not a giant leap for mankind. There is a ton of moving parts that connect into that core functionality. Um, Ben, our good friend Mr. Kennedy had some questions about on this screen when respond says reconnect or remove. And I don't think we have an example in our test world of out of those 10,000 organizations where it's requesting to update permissions uh, for uh,
That would
for
be one like
respond.
update permissions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that that actually exists
Can you
in here.
sort by applications on the right-hand column? You're seeing a development area, guys. This is not all ready for prime time. So for respond, you got that
Maybe
in there?
respond Microsoft. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Take a look at that. There's a couple of those that look like they're broken. Go ahead and click through.
see.
Okay, so this is what I think you're seeing, Mr. Kennedy, is there's an option to disconnect or refresh.
See, tell
And
me if the echo is bad on my audio.
yeah, you
Does this
sound
sound
great,
all right?
man.
So, in organizations, I go to respond, and all of them are blue, right?
Yeah.
And it says it wants to do an update.
Oh, and respond itself. Okay.
Yes.
So what you're seeing there is not a requirement, but we've updated some of the ways that we're handshaking with Microsoft on the back end. So anybody you load on now is actually going to have a more stable connection between us and Microsoft. If you want to go back and do that in all your spare time, you'll upgrade to what they call Microsoft 2.0. And Ben, do me a favor, jump to the Respond module over on the left and look at connections. Managed connections, yeah.
Highly recommended to upgrade unless I'm the snowflake that has the only issue.
No,
No,
everybody does.
there are some issues that can be resolved by this. And so, yeah, throw your junior engineer at that, have them go through and bang those credentials in. We only have 10,000
I
organizations here,
am,
Ben. I think.
I am the junior.
Did you just call me Junior, Anthony, as well? I threw myself on there. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Are
See
you
the
trying to?
like Google is in blue. Any of you see in
Oh
blue,
yeah.
the data is
Upgrade.
flowing, but there are options to upgrade. If you remove
Upgrade.
that, that is disconnecting it. There we are. Yeah, so here's your Google example, but it'll be the same thing in Microsoft.
Well, does remove mean just ignore the update?
No, that means to disconnect that client from Respond.
Oh, buggers. All right.
There's
Well, I won't be
this
doing that.
morning I had an issue with one tenant. I had to disconnect because it would not upgrade.
Yeah, to disconnect. Were you able to reconnect it?
Yes, the
Okay.
ASAP. Maybe a browser cache issue, something, but yeah, that was the first one I was doing on my Kaseya tenancy.
Hmm.
And it didn't do anything. So I'm disconnected, reconnected, perfect, and the rest all upgraded or updated as soon as I verified.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's
Excellent.
rare, but I've had that happen too, where I had to basically go and fully rip Respond out and then just put it right back in. It was fine after that, but
It's interesting, guys. Is any other than our two snowflakes on this call? No, seriously, guys. If you're seeing that, that's an edge case as far as I know. But now it's starting to sound like maybe it's not. So if that ever happens again, do me a favor, capture that and just let me know. Just so, holler at us in Discord or send an email over to Ben and I because I want to have the back end guys look and see what happened and what was not allowing you to move forward.
We're on
Great
2.0
feedback.
now everywhere, so
Yep.
we should not see any issues. Too late for the petition,
Hopefully.
Anthony.
Absolutely, absolutely. We do love that feedback. You know that, guys.
See. So if you are using, I want to show you guys something really quick that we, Alex, one of our, Alex Hannah, you guys probably know her.
Oh yeah.
She kind of moved over to our team and is helping us with different security stuff. And I put her on the task of finding out about when the Entra device ID is relayed to Microsoft. And her and I basically did some research and have, unless someone else wants to prove me wrong, pretty much that is really only relayed in two circumstances. Either the device is registered with Entra or the device is possibly part of like the partner portal. But either one is good. And if it's not registered with that tenant, it won't relay that information. Or if it's registered with another tenant, it also, I have not seen it relay that information. I've tested it multiple times and done a bunch of search. So we asked our Amanda to add something into our system. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have device name, and we also have the Entra ID. That you guys have probably seen this, but it's Entra ID is equal to what the RMM is telling us, which is all well fine and dandy if you have an RMM. But what we needed was this exists. Same thing with exists for device name. So if we get these two, that's a good indicator that the device is in the Entra tenant currently. We're not, Adam is still working on the Unify integration with Entra to pull in like information about the device, but this should help a lot with those unknown devices that are either someone's using at home or they just do not exist in your RMM. So this is definitely a good step. I don't know if it might also include mobile device. I guess it just depends. So I don't know if I gave you guys this or not. Let me see if I can dig up this article real quick. And so I'll get to you in just a second, but Enrique, but I wrote this article so that you guys could see what you need to do in order to get your Entra set up. And this basically covers the difference between registered and joined, how to get something at least registered without making your user paranoid that their company is monitoring all of their activity on their home device. Most people love to get a free copy of Office, and if you can convince them to install their company version of Office at home, that will at least get them on the registered without management abilities. If you uncheck this and you just hit OK, that will register. And that means when they sign in to Office, we're going to get that Entra ID, maybe get a device ID, maybe, but nothing really else. You don't get a bunch of information about the device. Enrique, go ahead, answer, ask your question. Happy to.
So particularly on that, when I saw the word exist, made me wonder, are you checking joined? All exist means the multiple different conditions.
Correct. It could mean
Okay.
joined, it could mean registered. Both will, from what I've seen, will relay that device ID. And I'll show
So
you.
my experience, anybody that connects to office.com with their company credentials, the device gets I think it's registered, not joined, registered.
Yeah. Registered is an
So
easy bar to hit.
correct. That one, you don't even have to have the software installed. As long as you log in from
Right.
Office 365, that device is going to get registered.
Yep.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Registered for exist?
Yeah, so you'll see there's a couple of different flavors right here. There's joined with management, which is typically Intune. There's joined with no management, and then there's joined or registered with Intune, and then registered with no management. So with Intune, obviously we're going to pick up a lot more information about the specific device. It'll show up in your Intune portal, but with just registered, we're not going to get as much information. We will probably be able to get we'll get the device ID, and we'll also get I think maybe the host name. Uh, Also something to keep in mind, if they're using a browser that is maybe like not Edge, and maybe they're using Chrome or Firefox, that ID is not always relayed. So something to keep in mind, that there is plugins for those browsers to relay that information,
Oh,
but it's not always something that will happen automatically. But if they're using Outlook on, for like the client, it should. Just something to keep that in the back of your head. But
does
that's
that
why I
include
also,
OWA?
um, yeah, I mean, like if they're accessing it through the web,
Yeah.
like on a browser, yeah,
I'm thinking hotel kiosk. I forgot my laptop charger when I'm traveling. I run downstairs, I
yeah.
jump in the hotel kiosk. What would we see here?
You would probably most likely see nothing, because that device would not be registered with your tenant. Um, but that's why I also
But
teamed it up with Unify, because I want to check a couple of things. You could break this out and say, you know what, register with an RMM or with Entra ID existing and a device. You don't have to do the device either. You could just do the ID itself, and that should be sufficient. So this will cut down a lot of those unknown devices. And in the future,
Ben,
we'll get.
Ben, James said that you can jump into the admin center and stop users from being able to register devices.
Mhm.
Is there an advantage to not getting that information or not allowing people to do that?
Is there an advantage to stopping that?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, unless the only thing I can think of is if you're strictly monitoring the people that are signing into those devices, to those accounts, and you want to restrict it to company-owned devices only, and you want to restrict it to uh, Azure or intra joined and registered devices only, then you would basically say, hey, you can't get into this door without being from a device that I manage, like
Uh,
with my RMM and everything else. Which in the MSP world is rare. just because usually small to medium sized businesses want flexibility and over a bunch of security controls.
Yeah, and it's accessibility or usability and security. It's the eternal battle.
Yeah. Is it
I'm sorry, Ben,
CIA?
did I knock you off your track? I thought you were about to go someplace else.
No, 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 you're good. I don't think.
Excellent.
Oh, Adele, to answer your question, Anthony, this is the Microsoft Developer Tenant adds a bunch of users that are always and they're always the same users, same icons, and this is a list of fake users that they generate for you automatically. She just happens to be top of the list, so I end up picking on her more than any other account. But if you ever look through my tenant, you'll also see some other characters there, like Marty McFly and
Right.
Jon Snow and
I've just seen that on demos a bunch of times where Adele's PC is doing this, and I'm like, I keep meaning to ask, who
if
is that?
you see Adele and any other vendor or anything, you'll know that they are using the Microsoft Developer Tenant, which used to be free that you could spin up at any time, but a bunch of threat actors also figured that out and they started abusing it, and so Microsoft shut down that program, but they allowed the people that were already there to stay. Thankfully, I don't know how much longer, but hopefully forever. So, because it gives you like an E5 license equivalent, which allows you to do pretty much almost anything except for like activate Windows. But yeah, it's been very helpful. I want to see something real quick. Any questions about that?
Is it
So okay. Hmm?
Thanks for writing
any,
that, Ben. I wish I had that like months ago.
I know, right? I was surprised that nothing had like really existed that explained it. So, but I didn't want to take anybody's word for it. And if you're asking a search engine, you'll get like 100 different results, and one person saying this or that. So I said I'm going to do my own experiments. I want to know exactly when I get that ID and when I don't. So. By the way, this is a registered device with management enabled. So you'll see that you get a lot more information about the device. Specifically, it looks like hardware. You'll get a whole bunch of information there. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to see all the apps that are installed. I'll be able to see if there is device compliance. I think you can at least tell if it's being done. I don't know if you can push things out to it, maybe. But yeah.
They capture
Is that
location
Intune?
anywhere?
Hmm. Location.
I'm sorry. Is that Intune or is that an
Mhm.
Azure registration
Intune.
page?
It's Intune. It's Intune. So if you look at the document, that would be Intune registered, but with this checkbox left there to allow management of my device.
All right.
So this is the thing that's going to freak people out when they're installing Office at home, because it's easy to convince them, hey, if you plan on using your work device at home, please at least install Office. You get free Word, and you get free Excel, and everything else. But when they see this at the very end of the installation, they're going to be like, what? And they're going to most likely hit no. And if they hit no, that's not going to register. It's still going to give them access to Office, but you will not see that as a known device and respond will fire.
I've never seen that outside of, so we register everyone's device, even if they have Microsoft Basic, to authenticate to Windows with their 365 account. But
Mhm.
I've never seen this outside, except when we go to join it, we have to tell it add device as well. And then we get this pop up, but I've had never seen it installing just Word.
Yeah, it'll show up when you're just doing Office. You can also do it through the add work and school accounts. But when you're doing it that way, I believe that will add it in there as registered, but there's also another option where you can join it with the Entra. But this will show up typically especially if you're downloading it from the Office portal. It should show up either at the very end of the installation or when you go to open it. Most people hit 3. But
We don't trust our IT staff or management? Come on.
I don't see, to answer your question, Anthony, I don't see where it's giving me the IP address of the sign in. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I didn't think Microsoft was capturing that, but Steve King was just saying that the direction he wanted to go is like limiting registration to trusted locations. And James T
Mhm.
said he believes there's an action in conditional access policies for registering and joining devices.
Yeah,
And then we have to configure trusted locations
correct.
within that policy.
Correct.
And I think that's kind of that's an
Yeah,
interesting
we're pretty
path to
close
go
to it.
down.
We're getting there with our lists. So I mean, that's kind of the target. Everybody's outside of the office, kind of track it that way almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I wonder if
it's a
Shiva can
fun little
write us
line.
something up for that.
I've never seen the IP address and the device information, but obviously you can, whenever they sign in, you'll pick up that information from the event. And you'll notice that, let me see if I can show you some of my sign-in logs if they don't go too far back. Microsoft's not exactly quick when it comes to this data.
Inside Austin, we'll get right to you.
Oh, he can ask it while I'm waiting for Microsoft to
Austin,
get
shout
around to
out. What's your
giving me
question, man?
this log information.
Did we lose Austin?
You have offended him.
Well, it was his turn. I try to offend everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, you're doing good. See, this is why we use SaaS alerts. Look how long this is taking. Nobody wants to wait. If it was SaaS alerts, I'd have had
Well,
this information already.
and Ben, that's only a month's worth of data.
Hey, can you hear me?
I know,
Yeah, go
right?
ahead, Austin.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Technical difficulties. All right. So, Security Scorecard put out this thing like a few weeks ago. Like what it is though is something that it's really just kind of building on the thing that DJ at Spear Tip had already reported a few weeks ago that we had also seen. This is like a month or two ago, right? But the kind of thing that they like call out in their report is that it's all non-interactive sign-ins. Um, and I was just wondering like what level of non-interactive sign-in logging does SaaS alerts do? Because it seems like there's like I know like as a policy, SaaS alerts isn't just showing you every single non-interactive sign-in. But like sometimes things do come through and it'll say in parentheses like this event was tagged as non-interactive by Microsoft. And I was just wondering, um, like especially for like the basic auth stuff, which is going to come in as a non-interactive sign-in a lot of the times, what I don't know, just what's coming into SaaS alerts, I guess, or what's flowing into it.
So I think it depends on the license level. We, at one point in time, tapped into an endpoint that allowed us to pull in all the non-interactive sign-ins without having a license restriction or anything. And it, for those of people that were around for that, it completely decimated our logs. We went from maybe a couple 100,000 events per hour to like I think 30 million,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it also triggered all the outside approved locations. So a lot of stuff happens outside of the country. So everybody was getting blown up with outside approved locations.
Yeah.
So I find value in them totally, even though there's a massive amount. But I think it was decided that it would have to be a separate event that was not tied to the authentication. So
Hmm.
I think they're still working on it,
Yeah.
but I don't think they have not been in a hurry since that day, and it was a Friday too. So people are like
Oh
freaking out.
gosh.
I was like, who pushes an update on a Friday? Apparently we do. But so yeah, that was fun. But
Chip had some color around that he talked about. There's basically
yeah,
the non-interactive logins. There's about 8 different kinds, and they, as Ben sort of alluded to, some of them are more security focused and some are less. And that was we were not quite as selective as we should have been, but that there
that was
are
fun.
some legitimate use cases there that
Yeah.
I know has not fallen off of Chip's radar. So look for something on that
Awesome.
someday. Yeah.
Yep. Um,
And so what's like showing the things now where it'll be like parentheses, this event was tagged as non-interactive by Microsoft. Like especially, I guess that's the OAuth. I think that's the OAuth one especially
Yeah,
shows
that
that.
makes sense.
And I
Um,
believe a lot of those show up when you've got a Microsoft product in a tab. You close that browser to refresh it. It's time for an update. Every time one of those tabs opens up, that's actually a separate OAuth, and that's part of where the
right.
volume of the noise came from. But
Okay.
Yeah, if you're
yeah,
moving from one part of Microsoft to another, there's like Anthony said, if you're moving from like Outlook to maybe like the profile manager or Word or something, it Microsoft doesn't want you to have to sign in repeatedly over and over again as you move throughout their system. So that's where you'll see the OAuth. It's basically just, I don't want to say it's single sign-on, but it's close.
Right. All right, cool. Well, I just figured I'd ask because I don't know. I was just curious what the
For sure.
measurement was, but I think that kind of answers my question.
It's a very good question.
But the weird thing is they say that this attack, like you're like, people who use security products that don't grab non-interactive sign-in logs are blind to it. But then they literally use the spear tip report to like build off of this. And it's literally the reason they know about it is because of someone who uses SaaS alert. So anyway, so I don't know. I just didn't really know what to make of this report where they both called out SaaS alerts and said we know about it because of a company that uses it. But anyway,
Yeah.
thanks for bubbling that up. That's an interesting article.
yeah.
Kind of
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, I was just kind of poking through and seeing what I could see, but I don't think I have anything online that I can pull device data from. So yeah, that improvement should be out. I talked to Amanda and we are getting it through QA pretty quickly, so hopefully within the next week or so. So for any of you MSA customers, we'll be applying it as it'll help us get rid of a lot of those unknown devices that seem to pop up all the freaking time.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
Fun.
Yeah, Microsoft, strangely, I mean, I don't know why I'm giving them credit for actually doing their job, but last fall, they actually began moving a lot of that inter-device ID from premium licensing down into less premium licensing and enriching some of the um, more basic kinds of actions with that inter-device ID. So we kind of jumped on that. Adam was all over that, so that was like in October, November, and now you're starting to see the results of that. So that sort of gives you some insight into the into what the work cycles look like over here. It's like, man, that's a brilliant idea, he said at last Thanksgiving, So, about another 10 minutes left, guys. This has been a great discussion. Thank you, everyone, for bringing this stuff up, Daniel and everybody else. Anything else that's top of mind? Anything else that's bubbled up? Any questions that have come along?
Any new
Um,
features?
Couple of things coming. Couple of things coming. And Amanda will be telling you all about them on Thursday.
Yeah, the
So check out YouTube. And I know, gimme. Also, anybody who has enjoyed as much as I have our annual SASI report, I'm very excited to say that I believe it's on the 10th of next
yeah.
month, we're releasing our next one. So
Are they
look
giving
for
us
that
our brandable report that I requested last year and I was told no?
any second now.
But are we gonna be able to brand it? Like
No,
together with
I'm
SaaS
lying to
Alert?
you, Enrique. I'm just trying to get out of this call alive.
I wonder.
Um,
I don't know. It's
if you're
new
talking
management.
about when you're sharing reports, the reports are always going to come from saasalerts.com, something. I don't see that changing anytime soon,
I
Enrique.
think it's just the logo on the report.
Well, like there was download the PDF and I
Mm.
mean I could always put my logo on there and just send it out, but I asked for permission. And they were gonna give us a condensed version, I think, a 2-pager. And
Yeah,
now
I
she's
remember
gone, I think.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe they did. See, they probably did give us a condensed version. It just flew over me. It's
I remember
Um,
that.
so Stephen also asks, does the IAM event outside approved location include non-login activity? The last time I checked, Stephen, Microsoft buries a number of different kinds of actions that the end user is taking into that same alert. So that may be what you're actually hearing is what we've been reporting all along. And I'm hopeful that the updates to the alerting engine are going to give us either more visibility or at least more granular control over that. If that tracks?
All
Go ahead,
right, yeah,
Twice.
I was just seeing those examples of like the, activity moving locations, but not really generating a login. And
Yeah.
trying to make sure that my rules are at least set up to, catch those two.
And that's exactly it. Is once you're inside Microsoft's ecosystem, once you're past those IAM events, Microsoft changes its reporting stance to be a lot less helpful for us and a lot more helpful for Microsoft. And that's a challenge, I guess I'd rather know this stuff was happening, even if I don't have as much standard telemetry, than not know it was happening. That's sort of, the crux of everything we do. So
is that why we end up adding additional events to the rules, to the respond rules? Is that the approach there?
yeah, usually. And mostly that's to weed out false positives. If 2 or 3 things are going to trigger an alert, but that actually might happen on a regular basis, I want to add an extra 1 or 2 alert actions that are going to show me this is definitely not normal behavior by the end user. This is only something a threat actor would do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've got to stack criteria pretty tall for that sometimes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a plaid day, man. Don't be all getting on my plaid. It was funny. I just got off call with some folks in Ireland, and they were all wearing plaid too. So my Dixon takeover of the planet is coming, guys.
I need to get some plaid logo shirts.
You do.
It went straight
Small
to
aside. Back when
plaid.
I was an engineer, a real engineer. I'm not that dev engineers aren't real engineers, but if they can't do differential equations, they're not really an engineer. One year for Christmas, we had everybody go across the street to a clothing store and pick out their favorite Hawaiian shirt. And then I took those and then give them back to me. I took those down to the local embroidery shop, and I had our company logo done in whatever colors would match and blend in with the Hawaiian shirt. So they could walk around, and if you didn't actually know to look for the logo, you didn't see it. It didn't jump out there. They actually love that. They wore them all the time. It was just one of those silly little things that we got to do when we owned our own company. So nobody else cares about that.
I was just giggling at my Spaceball reference.
Yes. Yes.
I make myself laugh.
And hey, there's your Elon reference when you got the plaid edition, right?
Oh yeah.
Guys, I want to thank everyone for your time today. It was a very good conversation. We love having you guys in here, bringing us good news and bad, and letting us show you where we think we're going with this crazy thing. I want you all to have a great week. And again, if you can, tune in Thursday. Amanda's going to give us a little more insight into where we're going.
Stay safe, guys. Great seeing you.
Cool, guys. All right,
Let's
bye-bye.
go.
Thanks,
Bye,
y'all.
guys.
Bye.